Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and this is the iPhone 6s and iPhone 6s Plus. Both of them look pretty familiar to the previous generation, and there's only a couple differentiating factors. One of them is the little S that's at the bottom, and the other one is one of the colors I chose not to get, which is rose gold. So we've kept the space gray, the silver, and the gold, and then added rose gold, or really what they should have just called pink. They haven't changed the cost a whole lot, or really at all, other than that now you can get a payment plan either through Apple or through your carrier, but basically they're $649, $749, and $849, or $749, $849, and $949. That depends on the storage. You can get 16 gigabytes, 64, or 128 gigabytes. Now there are a couple differentiating factors between the two, but basically the difference between the 6S and the 6S Plus are battery, screen size, and optical image stabilization with the camera. The dimensions of the 6S and 6S Plus have actually grown slightly. So they've grown in height and width and actually thickness. So very, very slightly, but they have grown. And they've also gained a lot of weight. They've actually gained about a third of the weight of the previous version. So what we have is a lot heavier phone, but what they've done is actually strengthen the metal using different aluminum that should help with it not bending. As far as the outsides, nothing's really changed as far as what it looks like. On the right side, we still have our sleep-wake button. On the left, we have our volume buttons and vibrate switch. On the top, there's nothing. And then on the bottom, we have our speaker, microphone, 3.5mm headphone jack, and lightning adapter. None of that's changed at this point. Apple has also improved Touch ID, so before you'd push your thumb down, click the home button and hold your thumb there, and it would unlock your phone after reading your fingerprint. With the new phones, you actually just push the button, lift off, and it's unlocked. It reads your fingerprint that fast. It's really impressive, although it doesn't really look too different. The screen sizes haven't changed at all. We have 4.7 inches and 5.5 on the 6S Plus, and we have very nice contrast and are very viewable in bright sunlight. However, the phone gained its thickness from the 3D Touch that they've added. The way 3D Touch works is you simply press on an icon, but you push a little bit harder than you normally would. And so that pops open a different dialog, basically giving you a right click into those applications. Now, one of the other features Apple showed was peek and pop. That takes 3D Touch to another level, where you're in email, for example, and you give it a little bit of pressure and it pops open that email. You can scroll right or left to delete it or read it, and you can scroll up to get more options, such as reply. If you push harder, though, it pops into that application or that screen. So if you're in an email, you don't want to read it, you let go. If you want to read it, you push harder. It's really that simple, and it works really well. While externally, the iPhones don't look a whole lot different, internally there's quite a lot different going on. So now we have Apple's new A9 processor along with the M9 Motion coprocessor. We get 2 gigabytes of RAM, and that really seems to speed things up quite a bit. So we've got the same RAM as the iPad Air 2, and that really speeds everything up, so it doesn't really lag at all. The new processor, we believe, runs around 1.8 gigahertz. It's a dual core, and that doesn't seem like much compared to some other processors out there, but in tests it really gets desktop class speed in some tests, so it's pretty impressive and should push the phone along nicely. Apple's actually shrunk the battery in these particular phones in order to make room for the new Taptic engine, and that's a new vibration motor that allows the phone to basically feel like it's pushing back when you're pushing on the display. So getting through a full day isn't really a problem for me, and for some people it might be if you're a heavy gamer or you record a lot of video. However, Apple has updated the battery settings within iOS 9 to give you a little bit more comprehensive overview of what's going on. So if you take a look at the battery, you can see what's going on for the past few hours. You can also see what went on for the past 24 or 48 hours, depending on what's going on. You can see what your phone lasted, and then if you're really low on battery, you can throw it into battery saver mode. That should give you about 3 hours more just to save you until you can plug in somewhere else when you get the chance. So it's really nice and seems to do a pretty good job. You're going to get better battery with the 6S Plus than you are with the 6S, just like you would before. But I think overall, for most people, it should be okay. One of the biggest updates Apple did with the S model this year is a new camera. We went from 8 megapixels to 12 megapixels, and we also have a 1.22 micron size pixel. So what happens is we get more light into our photos, but we also get more megapixels, so we can blow that photo up larger in order to see more detail. Now with that, we get 4K video, and 4K video is fantastic, and it's supported by YouTube, as you've seen probably a lot of different videos on YouTube as well. However, we also get some other benefits from that sensor. We get 1080p 60 like we had before, but we now get 1080p slow motion with 120 frames per second. We also get 720p at 240 frames per second. So it's a really nice camera and seems to do a good job. But let me show you some of the pictures and videos I've taken using the different cameras. Now with the iPhone 6s Plus, stabilization should be a little bit better, and you'll see that because the actual camera has optical image stabilization where the iPhone 6s does not. So you do benefit from that a little bit. Now incorporating all of these photos together is something new called live photos. And what that does is actually record the first 1.5 seconds prior to taking the photo and then 1.5 seconds after taking the photo. And that allows you to kind of get a context of what was going on while you were taking that photo. It's pretty nice and uses 3D touch in order to actually see it. So you just push on the photo, push a little bit harder and hold, and you'll see the full 3 seconds of the photo. Let go and you go back to the static shot. Now the other thing they've done is allow you to take those photos and turn them into wallpapers. There's live photo wallpapers on the phone, and instead of moving all the time, they're static images, but when you push on them on the home screen, they actually go into live motion for about 3 seconds. So for the past week and a half, I haven't used a case, and I've had some wear around the camera lens. I've also had some wear down at the bottom where there's a couple scuffs. So originally the camera lens surround starts out black, and I mentioned that in a video before where the 6S Plus and the 6 Plus actually looked different that way, and that then because they both wore off. So it's worn out. It's not a huge deal, but it's something to note, and also some scuffs on the bottom. So I definitely recommend a case with the phone if that's something that's going to bother you. That's pretty much it, and what's new with the iPhone 6s and 6s Plus. I think both are great phones, but I'd love to hear from you and what you think about them in the comments below. Please let me know there, and if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe and like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.